Thanks for tuning in. This is optibotimus coming with a very special video review. And today we'll be taking a look at the Matty Collector exclusive DC Signature Collection Doomsday. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the background with this figure. Originally, this was the figure that they were trying to get the 2014 DCUC Club Infinite Earths, or whatever it is, around. Now, those that aren't familiar with Matty Collector, what they basically do is sell subscriptions. If they made a certain level, they were going to make a Doomsday in his containment suit. If the sales were good enough, there was a second tier that would give us Doomsday fully unleashed. Either way, a character that has absolutely been needed if you're a Superman fan. We've gotten a couple Doomsday figures before, but none of them really were scaled properly. I'll touch on that in a little bit, and I'll show that off actually. But what this sub does is essentially, I mean, I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. It's a guaranteed sale. They call it a subscription, but it's a guaranteed sale for them. And if you don't get to that certain level, well, we're not gonna make these figures. Now, what's very annoying is that they didn't even hit tier 1. They weren't even close to hitting tier 1. And because of that, the DCUC Infinite Earth thing was completely canceled. And because of that, we never got this figure. But what they did do was decide to make it a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, because apparently some of it was already tooled, so they went ahead with it. The thing is, they only did the containment suit version, the one that most people aren't going to care about getting. Now granted, I would have loved to have had both of them, and I'm happy to have this one, but when I think of Doomsday, I don't think of him in his containment suit. So this is a figure that only really should exist if we gotten that Unleashed version. Now, they talk about how they only went with this one because they had this one already tooled. Well, according to this picture, they had the Unleashed version tooled as well. Now granted, that's just a sample picture, but obviously they have it, or had it. So if we get it in the future, obviously I'm gonna buy that one, but I just really wish they would stop screwing around with collectors. They talk about how they're, you know, a collector-friendly thing, and, you know, it's all about collectors. Well, basically they do nothing but screw us over. So there's my little rant. I know I apologize. I've already wasted several minutes on that, but for the packaging, as you can see, this is it. Now, what also really sucks is that when they shipped this to me, they did so without any kind of protection or packaging material in there. So this box has gotten really banged up. I don't know how well that's coming across, but you can see it's all bent up there. You got some scrapes right here on this side. You come around to the back. The back is the worst. You got all this scraping here along the bottom, goes along the side. The actual box here is, I don't know how well you can see that, it's actually bent inward. So it's just a really, it's really obnoxious. Now you can see that it is the image of the Superman S in a bloody format, which was something that became iconic with the whole death of Superman. Issue number 75 of Superman, where the death actually occurred, the comic came in a sealed plastic baggie that had this on the cover. And I love it. I think it's a great homage, and it really makes me wish I had a good box. It says Doomsday here at the top. You come around here to the back of it, and it gives you a little bit of a bio and a backstory to Doomsday. Now, none of this was actually unveiled through the regular comics. Nobody had any idea where Doomsday came from. This was revealed after the whole death of Superman, and in a whole separate comic set that actually had Superman finding out the history of Doomsday and where he actually comes from. But it says, before his reign of terror on Earth, the Calotons contained Doomsday inside a ship and cast him among the stars, destined to float in the abyss for all eternity. When the ship crash landed and buried itself beneath Earth's surface, Doomsday lay dormant in his prison suit for a number of years before finally punching his way free. Even with one arm still bound in his suit, Doomsday couldn't be stopped from wreaking havoc and destruction across the countryside as he made his way to Metropolis for the ultimate battle with Superman. But as the battle raged on, the prison suit did not do much to contain Doomsday's insatiable bloodlust or his terrifying determination to destroy everything in his path. And then as you can see, it just opens right here, but bringing in the actual figure, boom, there he is. And one thing that immediately stood out was just how big this figure is. This is exactly what collectors have wanted for Doomsday forever. This is a really nice package. I really like it. You got a very nice scene here with destruction in the background. Obviously Metropolis, it says welcome to Metropolis here. Now this cover actually is meant to homage the first appearance of Doomsday in Superman Man of Steel issue number 18. And bringing in my this is the actual book that I have for Superman. I've had this ever since I was a kid, and you come around here to the back and it shows all the various comics that have the whole death of Superman. And here you have issue number 18. One thing that you're noticing though is it is a little bit different. I mean, you got the same text here where it says the beginning of the end, Doomsday. I mean, that's still there. Has a really nice shattered effect going on here with the logo, much like what we have here. It's kind of neat. I mean, it's not entirely accurate. I mean, as you can see, he's punching out, but his arm is still bound. This arm is not bound by anything. It's just there. And then this arm is just kind of in an upward sort of angle. It's kind of hard to see, but you got these nice cracks right here. But again, that's not really represented at all here in the comic, at least in the cover, and that's what this is meant to homage. Then you come around here to the back, and again, you got that same sort of image, very similar to what we have on the actual comic here. But again, the right arm is free, whereas this one is still bound. And then the actual read up here, it's all sorts of falling, kind of very similar to what we have going on here. I mean, it's breaking through, he's wreaking havoc, lashing out, and all that stuff. That same bio is what I just read to you. That's on the back of the black box. And then as you open it, like I said, this is the image that you were shown on issue number 75. One thing that I'll talk about here, just because I have the comic out, is I really wish that his left arm, as you can see, as he's breaking out of the suit, or containment unit itself, as he's breaking out, you can see that the glove is starting to shatter and fall apart to the point where that's how he basically breaks free. So for me, I really would have wished if they had that actual hand on him. I think that would have been just a lot better. But I've gone on for a long time with the packaging, but the packaging is part of why you're getting this. It's a nice homage to that entire very epic saga of the death of Superman. So all that being said, that is it for the packaging. So without further ado, let's get him open and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Doomsday opened up and out of its packaging, and I am really very impressed with this figure, but absolutely disappointed in that this is what they gave us. And while it's not bad, this is terrific. It's not what fans want. And a company that is supposed to be taking care of their fans, this is an absolute disappointment in that regard. Again, not the figure. It really is very nice. Just the whole situation. I really hope that somehow, some way, Mattel is able to give us the Unleashed version. I don't want to say that they owe it to us, but it's such a disappointment. The biggest thing that I absolutely love about this is finally, we have a Doomsday figure that scales with the figures properly. Now, we've gotten a couple different Doomsdays before. This is the first time that we're getting him in his containment suit, so that is also very cool. But for a comparison, here he is. And here's what I consider to be the best Doomsday that we've gotten like this. You're seeing an absolute incredible size difference here. Clearly, this is the proper scale and the far superior looking figure. While this guy is at about a 7-inch mark, the containment suit version is a little over 9 inches. And as you can see, just much more bulky and just scales so much better. Now, there is no way to properly compare these without using Superman. And here we have him, and as you can see, again, this was never a really good scale. It just didn't convey the sheer mass and size that Doomsday really had. This is just a far better representation. But again, when collectors think of Doomsday, this is what they think of. This is what they want. This really isn't. Granted, this is something that is absolutely perfect for a convention exclusive, but a mass release version of this guy should be done. But all that being said, again, this is a very impressive figure. It's very heavy, a lot heavier than I thought it would be. You can see a lot of wires. They aren't not flexible or posable or anything like that. They are just this soft rubber material, but I love that they have all those just kind of loose and ripped off and hanging. I mean, you got some that are still connected, but you got a couple up here, like right up on his chest. You got one right down here that just hang off of him. It just is such a great looking sculpt that, again, I'd really love to see how they would have done an Unleashed version. He is wearing his mask, obviously. All of those bone protrusions are hidden. So how we got him in there, yeah, it's a joke. How did he actually do it? But I mean, this is still great looking. Now, for his articulation, as you can see, the head is on a nice ball joint, or well, swivel joint, I think, and then it moves up and down. I can't really tell if it's a ball joint, but you can get some nice poses with it. You got wonderful red painted eyes here. A lot of the paint on here is really very nice. You got a very nice silver and then a darker grayish color on some of the different wires. I mean, all the way across looks really very, very stunning. I am having a little bit harder of a time getting this leg to collapse all the way in, it seems. You can see it's like there's a little bit of a gap right there, but angling that, I guess it can collapse in a little bit more. But I mean, it's so wickedly awesome. So that's going on for the articulation in the head. The shoulders here are on pin joints. The rotation is a little bit limited. It only goes up about that far. It doesn't extend all the way up. Rotates forward, back. You have a harder time with this one because you got this section here kind of blocking the arm. But for example, this one does move a little bit more freely forward. Rotates at the upper part of the bicep. You got an elbow joint. You got a wrist swivel. You do have an ab crunch. It's a little bit harder to see because it's all underneath here, but it's right here at this. But again, it's a little limited because you got this wire section here that's right where the crunch is. But it does rotate at the waist itself. Getting this arm out of the way, the legs move forward and back. They move in and out. They rotate here at the upper part of the thigh. They bend here at the knee. They also rotate down here right above the boot. They move forward and back at the ankle, and they also pivot side to side. So lots of articulation in this. It's really quite an impressive looking figure. I know I'm harping on it and it sounds like I'm being very mean, I guess, but it's just a disappointment because it's such a niche kind of look for him. I mean, this really is quite literally exactly how he looked in that Containment box. And we didn't even see him in there the whole time. I mean, the very first images that we're getting of him shows him obviously breaking his wires, but then he's punching the actual Containment unit. And from that point on, the arm, or the hand here, specifically the glove I should say, starts tearing apart. And then throughout the battle with Superman and the rest of the Justice League, more damage happens to his suit. So it's quite literally a split second that he looked like this. And it's such an iconic character. I mean, he gave us so many awesome stories. Right after the whole death of Superman, you had the funeral for a friend and then the whole reign of Superman. That spurred on a lot of outstanding developments in the Superman world. I mean, of all the comic book villains, Doomsday really is one of my favorites. I mean, for those of you that weren't around in this time, this was really one of the very first times that a comic book company killed off their major star. This entire thing was covered by news outlets. It made worldwide headlines. It was a huge, huge thing. So while I absolutely love and appreciate that Matty Collector went ahead and made this figure, even though they really didn't have to, I guess, this is the guy that fans really want. So I hope that somewhere, somehow, somebody from Matty Collector sees this video and somehow can figure out a way to give us this version in this scale. Let's all send a message, guys. Leave comments, like this video, get the word out. Superman fans worldwide, I really think, would want this version done up like this. Now, this is not a bad figure. The figure is outstanding. It just feels incomplete. And I hope, like I said, somehow we can send that message to Matty Collector to get this done right. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I'd like to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that you can keep in touch with me by liking my Facebook page at facebook.com/teambotimus and by following me over on Twitter at twitter.com/optibotimus. Also, I'd encourage you to check out my new website at optibotimusreviews.com, where you can see all my videos from the previous week, as well as see what I have coming up for future release. And finally, I'd also really appreciate it, guys, that if you like this review, don't forget to please like, comment, and share this video. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.